Yes, iPhones are boring, right? I mean, a lot of Apple users and long-term iPhone users are starting to realize that they may be seeking a little bit of spice in the smartphone arena. And I see a lot of them looking at a device like this, the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I've been making my videos and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing some people actually switch, and I've been seeing a lot of people over the last couple generations of S Ultra devices have this conversation about being bored with their iPhones and just wanting something different, or just, maybe a little tired of the Apple. Y'all know what it is with Apple, you know what I mean? Maybe you reach your point or your limit. So there's a couple of things you have to consider when switching. As someone who had the iPhone 16 Pro Max and 16 Pro, running them side by side up until the stopping point of the Galaxy S25 Ultra, I can explain to you guys exactly what that switch is like. I've been using both of these ecosystems and worlds for years now. There's a couple areas as an Apple iPhone user making a switch into like the Galaxy realm that you got to consider. Number one is communication. What do you mean by communication, CJ? The biggest shining star is going to be iMessage, as every Android user rolls their eyes right now about iMessage and stuff. And, I'm in the States. In the States, iMessage is king, period. I know overseas, everyone's talking about WhatsApp or this and that. Hey, over here, iMessage, especially with the younger crowd, like children and teenagers up into adults, like iMessage is just, I don't know, it just creates a very ideal communication situation. The FaceTime in, being able to do share play and all these different things. Now, Android, for a while, for many years back, we're not talking about now, there was a larger separating factor in between the two for sure. But as of lately, especially in the Samsung realm, Samsung has a more well-developed ecosystem. The Pixel over there, they working on it. Keep working, Google. Samsung has comparable earbuds to earbuds that you could get on the Apple system. So you're able to get your audio experience comped for. They have watches and so forth. I don't have my Galaxy Watch 6 Classic, which is my favorite Galaxy Watch right now because it's on the charger, which is why my overall favorite smartwatch is the Apple Watch Ultra 2, but we'll talk about that in a second when we get into ecosystem conversation. But I'm just showing you guys, they have a tablet that's comparable and in many ways better or whatever. So, or in some ways better, let's put it that way. Communication, iMessage in the States is king. And it's a lot of things about iMessage, even just like, hey, I could video call on my Android. It's deeper than that. And having everything integrated into one app without you needing to switch to another app or tell your friend or other user to get this app. If you all are on the same system, which typically here in the States, a lot of people run iPhones, communication becomes like, it's just easier that way. You know what I mean? It's easier to communicate with people if they all have iPhones and you guys are all in that ecosystem. And the way iMessage runs with everything integrated, it just creates the ideal communication environment. Now, you can go to Android. You can get you a Galaxy S25 Ultra. The group chat is gonna get mad. When you drop that green bubble in there, you're gonna break the group chat. And that's another thing when I'm talking about with communication, because when the group chat is all Apple, devices, it interacts and it creates a different environment as opposed to when someone breaks it with the green bubble. I know, this is all controversial stuff. A lot of Samsung Knights is probably swinging swords right now, typing in the comment section. But this is just a reality of the switch. And I'm gonna be straight up front with you guys who are considering switching. I gotta tell you guys the real. I'm not gonna, everything's comparable, you can do this, do that. You're gonna feel it in some ways, and in other ways you will not feel anything at all. We're gonna get to that as well. But communication is the number one place you're gonna feel it most. Now, the W is that Apple, with their recent, iOS update, has finally adopted RCS. RCS allows for Android users, is the Android, or on that side of how they're able to send, higher quality images and videos, similar to the way that iMessage works, just to kind of make things not too complicated. But again, you can communicate and text videos and photos without being the one dropping the pixelated nonsense in the group chat and everything. It's just, if they send out a group FaceTime, it's not gonna work. Certain things, all the little Apple integrated iMessage features, they're not gonna work and things like that. So that's where you break communication and you break group chats. If you could get past that, if your family's fine, or they'll adapt. Obviously, everyone's gonna adapt regardless if you make a decision. So that's just the reality. Gotta put it up front. Then there is another area, and that's ecosystem, right? Now, Apple has had the leading ecosystem for years now. Apple devices work extremely well together with little to no and low effort. And that's what makes their ecosystem really good. I'll say this about Samsung. When you get a device, and let's say you grab the buds, the connectivity system now, I'm gonna say now, and as of like, a couple years ago, they took the Apple route where you just put it near, you open it, it automatically detects it, you hit connect, and it does its thing. W. Same thing goes with a watch. I can connect it in a similar fashion, and it's very much like Apple. Now, ecosystem, AirDrop, right? AirDrop is huge amongst, Apple users and stuff. At least that was like one of the biggest points in my previous arguments when I used to be like, man, you just can't give it up because of AirDrop. Well, you have Quick Share on the Android platform, and Quick Share is very much like AirDrop, except this is one of the funniest things. No one ever, or the realest things, because I'm gonna keep it funky with you guys. When Android users are like, oh, you got Quick Share, that's your AirDrop alternative. It's not as fast as AirDrop. So if you're trying to quick share a large file or anything big, it's gonna take a lot longer when quick sharing with the Samsung device and the Samsung ecosystem versus the way AirDrop works. I'm just gonna cut it to you straight. But you can quick share, so you do have an AirDrop alternative. Gotta give it to you straight. Here comes the real reality, especially with this S25 Ultra. As someone switching right out of the 16 Pro Max into the S25 Ultra, or even going back and forth or whatever, or honestly using this one more, let me tell you something. In the past, when you would switch as far as in the usability and the user experience and navigation, smoothness, optimization, you would be able to tell the shift and the difference. In today's day and age, especially with this S25 Ultra, as far as optimization and battery drain, how well it works is very similar to the Apple iPhone. The smoothness, animations, and things like that. Now again, these devices, they have their own animation, whatever. Matter of fact, you can just turn off animations on a Samsung device, right? You just eliminate the whole animation and just make it snappy and just instant and feel even quicker, right? And that's the thing. That is the thing when we're talking about switching it to the S25 Ultra or any, Samsung Galaxy device, if you want to go Z Fold. I'm a big Z Fold fan. Customization, right? Now, before I jump ahead, let me just say the fluidity, the feeling, the vibe, and just the usability, it feels very much the same. We are at that point where the gap is like that, and performance, what you getting out of this thing, if you all in the Geekbench and all that stuff, new vapor chamber and stuff. Again, this is the first device of 2025. iPhones are later on, you know what I mean? So we get the iPhone 17, we'll revisit that and we'll see where everything is. This is the creme de la creme in performance right now. It's smooth. Optimization is really good as of lately, right? That used to be a big separating factor, was optimization. Like the batteries of the iPhones used to whoop the S Ultra devices up and down. As of the last couple of years, it's so neck and neck. It's so neck and neck. So again, those are the older separating factors that you used to have to worry about. Now, let me talk about something that you can't do on an iPhone, but you can do on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. And that's just gonna be pure customizing. Like, as you guys can see, even with Apple's new latest, iOS changes allowing you to kind of like move your icons, it still does not work or compare to what you can do on Android. As you guys can see, look how small my icons are. Look at how many icons I have across my grid, because I can choose that. I can choose my grid count up and down, however I choose. I can remove the icon naming. As you guys can see, these hidden folders right here, super clutch. The app drawer and the way that it functions and works, the overall customizing. Now, I'm not using Samsung's native user interface. Let me be very transparent about that. I'm using Nova Launcher. And why do I use Nova Launcher? Because I'm able to do things like this. I'm able to get my grid this small and this, fine-tuned. I'm able to fine-tune the user interface a lot further with Nova Launcher versus Samsung's One UI. But that's the beauty of Android. Yes, we have Samsung One UI on top of Android, but Android is the core, operating system of the Samsung device, the S25 Ultra, which allows for me to have that, Android accessibility to things like Nova Launcher and the option to choose if I want to use Samsung's One UI in there, get down or not. And I choose not to because my device can look like this. And a lot of people ask me about my home screen setup. I told you guys in my last review video, so go check that out. But, I got these widgets, I got this layout, and everything is smooth as butter. Everything is very customized. Everything is very unique. We go to the iPhone. Nothing is unique. I can just make dark icons. I can kind of position things, but everything still has that magnetic effect when you're moving the icons, which absolutely annoys me because I thought when we were getting a customized home screen or the ability to customize or move our icons that it would be more free, more freeing. Apple, a little bit too controlling, but the controlling aspect of the iPhone is what gives the iPhone its identity. And some people just no longer want to be as controlled. And I think that's where they're getting bored with the iPhone or maybe just wanting a little freedom, want to be able to let the hair down a little bit. And you can do that with a device like the S25 Ultra without a doubt. Now, Galaxy AI shipped already on here. You got the Gemini. If you're in the AI, I'm not big on AI, but for people who are, if you don't want to wait, Apple's rollout has been quite the rollout, right? But they're already here, baked in. Google has the better assistant to ask questions to. You're going to get way better answers than Siri. Another plus side and leg up of this system versus the iOS system. I'm trying to think of all of the key user experience differences that really separate these devices and really make you get a actual picture of what it's like to switch. But I'm gonna tell you this, the grass is green on the other side, it's not greener. So that means you can step outside of the walled garden, outside of the invisible walls, and you can have a solid, and for some users, a better smartphone user experience. That's the beauty of the S25 Ultra and the Samsung Galaxy system as of right now, as a competitor to the iPhone. So with that being said, what is it like to actually switch from an iPhone into the S25 Ultra from a user experience perspective? It's a collective, everything that we could talk about. I could talk about battery. Let me go there really quick. Battery, right? You do have a physically larger battery on here, but what Apple squeezes out of their devices battery-wise, even though this battery is not as large as this 5,000 milliamp hour battery, is absolutely impressive. And that just goes to the reality that Apple has a closed loop system. They control everything, so they're able to optimize the heck out of their devices. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's their advantage. The beauty about Samsung and what they're doing is they're working closer with the chip manufacturer, the Qualcomm. And they got this Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy, or 8 Elite, which is what's in here, the 8 Elite for Galaxy. And you're getting, I guess, what we have to believe as something that's fine-tuned for this device specifically, right? As I said, I don't feel any difference from an optimization standpoint because, again, my RAM management is just as good as the iPhone. I can close the app or pause it, whatever I'm doing, TikTok, come back. I'm still at the same TikTok after going through a bunch of different apps or coming back the next day. That's ideal RAM management. I love that. Also, when the battery's down to the last 15% or 5%, even in those lower single digit numbers, it just goes into some type of mode. I don't know what it is, but it takes a lot longer than you would expect. You know how you get nervous? Man, those single digits be holding on for dear life on the S Galaxy. Let me say specifically to the S25 Ultra. I don't want it to be you know what I mean? The S24 Ultra was really good battery-wise, but the S25 Ultra is on another level. And that's what's making me shine or speak such positive, light to this device, because in comparison to its previous predecessors and in comparison to the current iPhone Max offering, this thing is going toe for toe, blow for blow. So let's talk about these screens really quick. You have an anti-reflective screen. I know this is something new to some of you Apple, sheep. Let me put you guys up on this anti-reflective, right? Look at this, even just right here, the camera top down, you see it all in my iPhone screen. You don't really see it in my S25 Ultra. If I flip over to this light right here, you see it all in my iPhone screen. You don't really see it in my S25 Ultra. That is the difference. In user experience, in different lighting environments, you will see and you will notice it. And it makes this screen so much easier to see. Another thing is, Samsung is the king of screens, right? Shall we say? These screens look absolutely amazing. Now, I will be doing my comparison, my versus in between these videos coming very soon in between these phones. My comparison video in between these two devices will be very soon. You guys will see the screens side by side. But my point is, the screen on the S25 Ultra is absolutely phenomenal. Switch it to natural. I gotta tell all my iPhone users, if you want your screen to feel and look and have the same color accuracy and the same vibe as iPhone, you have to switch it to natural. Do not go vibrant unless that's your thing, because that's super color saturated. It's not the true to life. It's not the P3 gamut, blah, blah, blah. It's not the color accurate. And another thing, let me tell you guys, because if you're new to Samsung, you're not gonna understand this, but you can choose HD+, Full HD+, or Quad HD+. Switch that thing to Quad HD+ if you want the full screen resolution that you're paying for it. You could go to Full HD+ and get better battery. I'm not gonna lie, the battery gets a lot nicer on Full HD+, and they have a new up-res scaling. Everybody doing this stuff using AI and all that, but it's good. Again, that settings menu and the many things you could do in here inside of their settings menu is another separating factor in favor of the S25 Ultra over the iPhone. This goes back to the customization, but this also ties in heavily into user experience, because you as a user literally get to tailor fit or pick your experience on the S25 Ultra in comparison to the iPhone, where Apple picks our experience for us. That's the difference, or the biggest difference in between these two devices. Apple has their ideal user experience for their user that they pick and choose and deliver. A lot of people like it. It's tailor fitted. Some people it's perfect for them. For others, it gets a little blah, boring, meh. And those people tend to lean over here and get in here and getting these crazy different, menu settings. And, again, it's pretty extensive. You go through in here on your own spare time and spend a long time in there, or watch, one of those videos where people just break down menus on phones. That's a long get down, but you can do a lot. You can do a lot. You can do a lot. But for some people, that's overwhelming. See, this is the difference of users. Some people might think they want all of that, come over here, experience it, and become overwhelmed with the amount of options and tweaks and different things that you have to do to maybe get your device to where the iPhone comes shipped at. That is the biggest difference. It's two user experiences, but they are so close, it's almost one and the same. Two different ecosystems, but they are so close, it's almost one and the same. Two very different phone designs, but honestly, at this point, one and the same, right? So many things, so many cues taken from one another. Even the dynamic island that we have on the iPhone, like the little, pop-ups and stuff, like Samsung has their, iteration of that. A lot of things are being borrowed in between the two. Why I say it's almost one and the same, but it's very much different. So if you're a iPhone user, and you're getting bored in that walled garden with invisible walls, and you realize that there are no walls and that you can step outside and the grass is green, it's not greener. Let me make this clear. The grass is not greener on the other side, but it is green. It's almost one and the same. Outside of those key things that I pointed out, and there may be a couple other things, I'm gonna be honest, like the continuity with Apple Fire. There's a lot of little tailored things that Apple has for their system that you're not gonna find anywhere else. And there's some things on this device that you're not gonna find anywhere else, like the decks and all that stuff. So, it's kind of tit for tat, blow for blow. It's two different experiences, yet it's one and the same. And what is that? The user experience is a fire flagship smartphone, great cameras, I didn't talk about cameras. Let me ease this in really quick. I'm gonna be honest. My preference of camera is the iPhone cameras out of these two devices. We'll talk about that when we get into the verses. I'll break it down and show you why and whatnot. But Samsung has great cameras as well. They just added log profile for those of you who care about that. They always got like the super zoom and all 200 megapixels like on sheet and spec. It's getting crazy. And then their algorithm is getting a lot better. They're starting to like kind of chill, not oversaturate like they used to. They're getting a little bit better with skin tones, not all the way there. Apple has some work to do with skin tones too, but they're a lot, I don't know, it goes back and forth because sometimes you can look a little crazy skin tone on the iPhone as well. All this HDR, all this AI stuff. Again, these are all algorithms. But again, you can leave the iPhone, get some great photos on the S25 Ultra, and some of them you might even feel like are better. You know what I mean? It's personal preference, personal taste, 100% subjective. But the number one thing I'm trying to stress here is the user experience, overall, the collective. It's very much two different worlds in a lot of the ways that I pointed out, but it's very much one and the same, meaning it's a flagship smartphone experience. So as an Apple iPhone user of many years, what is it like switching into the S25 Ultra? It's stepping into a new world, but it's one and the same of a flagship smartphone experience. And honestly, in today's world of Samsung, it's not much different as far as, Samsung living the Apple life at this point. So I just want to add this for people who are really thinking about switching and you're nervous. If you're nervous, here's one thing to keep in mind. Every device upgrade or switch has a return period. I think it's the grace period probably of 14 days. And you can't determine everything you need to determine in those 14 days, but you can maybe get a feel and you might make a decision, especially if you're like super nervous. You might get in there 7 days. You're like, yo, nah, I'm going back. Group chat, they cooking me too much. Oh, I missed this feature too much. I need that Apple ecosystem, whatever. You'll slide back. And then again, you got to be courageous. You have to be open-minded. That's the biggest thing. You have to be open-minded. If you're courageous and open-minded, you can make the switch into the Galaxy S25 Ultra and enjoy what the S25 Ultra has to deliver. Or give, shall I say. Yeah, that give.
Yeah, let's see how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra. Work with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the